What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome back to a new episode of Out of the Park Baseball 26, where we are rebuilding the Pittsburgh Pirates together, and we're joining you from June 1st, 2029. Our Pirates are 34 and 23, top of the NL Central, by just 2 games over the Cardinals and 3.5 over the Reds. So it's going to be a tight race down the stretch, but we're ready to push through the middle of the season today. I think last episode, we handled all of the early season work, April and May. In today's episode, we'll look to push through all of June and the first bit of July, leading up to the first-year player draft on July 11th. So we'll kind of simulate through the first round. We'll see who's available to us on the clock, and then I will cut the episode there. You guys will have a limited window of time to deliver feedback to me in the comments before I start to make the next episode, and we actually make our decisions. But I'm really excited with how the team has performed so far this year. Last year was a little underwhelming. We just squeaked into the playoffs, but I think this year we're really built to contend. We have better pitching. Our young players are more seasoned, getting more experience, but we definitely have a couple of storylines that are developing across the early months here that we're going to keep monitoring. The first of which is Wyatt Sanford is due back in one day. He looks tremendous, you guys. He has a 75 grade potential, and I am eager to get him back. He already accumulated a full point of WAR in just 22 games earlier this year. So I think it's likely we send him down for 2 games of rehab. He is coming off it was a 6-week hamstring strain injury, so it's pretty severe. When I look at our schedule, we have an off day here on the 4th. I think we'll give him the weekend in rehab, assuming there are games, and there are. And then we'll call him back up, and then he'll factor force from the 5th on. Other storylines we're watching, though. Can our frontline rotation get it back together? Jared Jones has had a real rough streak of it as of late. 2 very subpar games. He had a -7 game score back here where he gave up 10 runs. Which is just confusing because he opened the season so hot for us. So we're going to keep close tabs on him. And Hunter Green as well has not been hot lately. 12 ERA in his last 2 games. So hoping they can turn it around. Our rookies are another major storyline we're keeping tabs on. Led by Dan Beebe, of course, who is 9-0 with a 3.86 ERA. He's got a full 1.9 WAR through his first 11 starts. He looks like potentially the best pitcher in baseball, and he's still developing, throwing 100 plus. So he's going to lead us, but we have other guys as well. We have Connor Griffin here, who's hitting 324 and OPSing 963. He's got 2.5 WAR already. He's been a monster for us in center field. And look at him against lefty pitching. He's a real lefty crusher. So stealing 13 bags, he's looking awesome, but he's not alone in the outfield. We also have Edward Lantigua. The 22-year-old is hitting a casual 337, also OPSing 930 for nearly 2 WAR out in left field, but he also gets time in center as well. So they're both looking tremendous. If we're looking at guys who are struggling, however, these are going to be bigger questions that we're keeping an eye on throughout the season. We have O'Neal Cruz. Our former star player has been bumped all the way down to the 8 hole in the order, hitting sub 200, striking out 40% of the time. He has really not been good. He's regressed 10 whole points from last September in his scouting report here. You can see he's gone from 60 to 55, kind of in the early preseason, offseason, and then now he is just a 50. So the strikeouts are really elevated, and that performance is starting to reflect here in his ratings. I think this dropped from once a 45 down to a 40. So, we're tied to him for 2 more seasons after this. Not that I would look to move on or anything. I think it's just a bit of a rough patch. We're hoping he can come out of it for us soon. And in the bullpen, we also have a few questions. We have Brian Abreu, who has struggled with a 6.35 ERA. He's walking almost 7 per 9. And we just brought him in on a big contract to be our closer for nearly $10 million a season. Matt Brash as well, just signed to a new contract at 4.25 a season. We were hoping to get leverage innings out of him this year, but it's clearly not going to happen. He's walking double digits per 9. And I'm honestly on the brink of sending him down. I don't know how much longer I can stretch him out there. He's only got 10 innings of work, but it's in 15 games, which is a pretty big sample size. So I'm going to keep very close eye on his, performance in the next couple of days here. Maybe it's a new month and it's a new him. Hopefully he can turn it over. But let's get things rolling, guys. That's enough table setting. We're going to, like I mentioned, work through all of June and early part of July on camera. So it should be a relatively quick episode from a, on the field perspective. And then we can sort of spend the back half of the video diving into the prospects and considering who we may take. In between, though, we do have the scouting combine coming up on June 7th. So just a week away. I'll kind of, run through that off camera and see if there's any news that comes out there. It's kind of a weird tool, if I'm being honest. I don't really love how it functions in the game this year, but we'll acknowledge it when it happens, probably a couple days after, like sometime in this Mets series. So there's a lot of exciting things, I think, to look forward to, but let's get into it. Of course, any engagement you can put on the video would be awesome, guys. I really appreciate all the likes and the comments we've been getting. It just, encourages me to make more of these, and I'm excited to see where we end up this year. So if you have any predictions for what our Pirates end up doing, let me know. But let me pop off here. Like I mentioned, we're going to send Wyatt Sanford on a rehab assignment. I think the plan will be to, work through these first 3 series here. We may go San Diego, Houston, and then wrap Philly as well. I don't know if the scouting combine will be wrapped at this point, but I think we can take a look at it regardless here and kind of see who the top prospects in the class may be. But let's get it rolling. Okay, guys, back here. So far, so good. I mean, we've taken every series so far this month. 2 of 3 here, 2 of 3 here, 2 of 3 here. And the team overall is playing pretty well. We're 40-26. We are number 1 in this week's power rankings, which are, always a good sign. Termar did get suspended for 3 games. The boys kind of got a little rowdy in Philly. Him and Aaron Savali got into it, and he's, I think, back now, or no, still has 1 game remaining on it, so just a little bump in the road. Something I neglected to mention between episodes was that, Connor Griffin was named National League Rookie of the Month in the month of May. So we have taken the first 2 months of the rookie awards, Dan Beebe, of course, winning in April, and now Connor Griffin winning in May. And his strong play has pretty much continued. You can see who's hot and who's not here. A couple of our pitchers have cooled off a bit, which is not good, but Dan Beebe is still 11-0, which is awesome. I will say Jared Jones' most recent start went pretty well, 56 game score, very positive, only gave up 1 homer, so hopefully he can get back on track. We did call up Wyatt Sanford and slotted him back into the leadoff spot, sort of readjusted the lineup here a little bit. I still want more out of our 2 lefty power guys down here. They're kind of concerning me a bit. I mean, we're like halfway through June and they're both hitting under 200. But we also made another swap. We sent down Matt Brash, you guys. I couldn't deal with it anymore. This is looking like a really bad contract for us. And of course, in his first game at AAA, it looks like he gets destroyed for a homer, 2-run homer. Has an inflated 18 ERA, but he got another game of work since we last started recording, and was just not good. He gave up more runs, 2 earned runs on 1 1/3 inning, and it's just really stinks because we signed him to this deal hoping he would be a staple of our back end after he's been with us the last 2 seasons prior, and was a positive WAR player each time. I felt confident in these numbers, but I guess I should have been paying more attention to the walk elevation and just knowing that that's fragile. So it's definitely, I did not expect him to walk 10 per 9 this season. But anyway, he's down, and I think he'll remain down for a good bit unless we find ourselves in an emergency. But the call-up was just to bring back Jose Olivares. In his AAA sample down there, 8 games, was at a 2 ERA, batters batting just 136 off of him, so I felt like he sort of reset as he needed. We initially had him on the opening day roster and then kind of sent him down, but I think we're fine to call him back up now after that little AAA reset for him. But we've done some work on the scouting combine that I want to update you all on. It's honestly not my favorite tool. Like, the most recent patch, and I think I went over this in last year's video, where like the scouting combine seemed to function differently. I think they've updated the game here, and like now we just have by default like very high scouting accuracy across all of these players. So there's really no need to like use this as a scouting tool anymore. It's more so to build relationships and like potentially underslot players, which like I don't really do. Like that's too nuanced for my brain to handle. Like I just prefer to draft guys and like meet their demand and then call it a day, easy peasy. So this like aspect of the tool doesn't really appeal to me. I have not gotten much value out of this this year, but you can take a look at like the most highly rated guys here. I think there are a couple of standout names in the class, and we can go look at the mock draft as well. But guys who jumped out to me, only 3 80 grade players, according to our scout, are attending the combine this year. 1 pitcher, 2 outfielders. I think this Emilio Townsend guy is likely the best pitcher, even though he has obviously low leader and low loyalty. Those aren't really that bad, and high financial ambition is fine. If you can like sneak some incentives into his contract, I think maybe that'll like benefit his performance on the field. But he just looks like a really safe, like out of the box pitcher who can contribute pretty immediately. He just throws all gas. He has no off speed or no breakers. I mean, the cutter is like a slight breaker, but kind of a weird profile. But he's just like so far along, he looks really good. Although his ERA is like a little inflated in his most recent college season, so maybe a red flag. Or maybe he slides. Maybe that causes him to slide. The other guys, the outfielder Paul Dunn, El Nino, is just a like classic lefty corner bat. Doesn't have a good arm, but he's 17 and he's fragile, so I don't really like him too much. With the low work ethic, being as young as he is, it's definitely risky. Although he does look like he has prodigious power, I don't know that he can play anywhere else, so he's kind of just a corner outfield DH type. Jerry McCoon is the other one we have penciled in, and he looks really well-rounded, like plus defender in the corner as well. He could potentially even play center, to be honest. He's just not trained on it at the moment. But huge bonus demand of 12 mil. Really balanced bat across like all categories, however, and he's already like really good at hitting against left-handed pitching. So I would say he's likely the best player in the class, position player-wise. Codename Battleship doesn't hurt either, so very cool all around. Of course, he's a high school, like both of those guys are from high school, so they're going to be inherently more risky than any of the college players available. But I think I'll just show you the mock draft as well. There are some interesting names in here that we have recognized previously. So first off, Ray Stawicki is a player that we were looking at in last year's draft. He was drafted out of Coastal by the Seattle Mariners at pick 19, and he failed to sign and is back in the draft this year. So he's a first-round pick last year. He looks really far along as just kind of like a utility player, like not great defensively anywhere particularly, but like the bat looks really well rounded, and you think he could be fast tracked relatively soon. He's going to be 23 by the time he's in the system. I don't believe this Dwayne Johnson guy. I think he's new, but he's codenamed Braveheart, so I kind of like that. Although you don't love the low work ethic again. Feel like he's pretty good. There are other familiar names, though. Ray Stawicki is not the only one. Keon Johnson is here. Major throwback, but a real player who was drafted out of high school in the 2026 draft by the Kansas City Royals at 8 overall. And he failed to sign and went to college, and now he is here at age 21. So the future captain, he always turned into a captain in previous games. That's why I say that. Captain, second baseman, decent power bat. He's available here. And Similarly, if we go down to the second round, you will see the familiar name of Jacob Lombard here, brother of George Jr. He failed to sign with the Nationals. Similarly, was taken sixth overall and failed to sign. So that seems to be like a common pattern in this game. Maybe it happened in previous games and I just wasn't really picking up on it as much. But it seems like guys are, failing to sign and re-entering the draft more often than I had, have seen in previous editions. This guy also looks good. He'll be the last one we look at, but Modoc, he's a switch-hitting shortstop. Obviously, shortstop premium position, but he doesn't look like a great defender there. He honestly may profile more as a corner. No, he doesn't have range there. Probably a third baseman, I would say, with that strong arm and the plus power. But, seems good. So we'll have to consider like how much money we're going to allocate to the draft, and of course, see who's available once we're on the clock at pick 29. We pick much, much later this year, but there are definitely some guys here, I've kind of scouted late that I would be happy taking in the first round at our pick. Obviously, we'll know more at the time of the draft, but we have a slight profit margin here. Our fan interest is sort of like dwindling as the season goes on. It's like we started at 87 and now it's down to 84, so it's kind of just like a deterioration of that. I'm not exactly sure why that happens. Our like capacity is like pretty much fully sold out. We're fifth in attendance in the MLB, so not sure what's up with that. But I wanted to come here to just see the draft budget we have. We have 10 mil allocated just because we don't have like a tremendous amount of wiggle room. I don't want to like fully liquidate this 1.8 mil if we need to get creative at the trade deadline. And I don't really know if there are any ways we can free up money. So we're kind of just locked into 10 mil. I don't know that those like super, super top end guys are going to be available to us. But let's keep things moving here. I think it's likely we'll go through this Mets series, then we'll start a road trip at Cincinnati at the White Sox. So these games against Cincinnati are obviously going to be really crucial. They're right on our tail in the division. Last I checked, they actually slipped. They're 3-7, so 6.5 back. So we put a little bit of distance on them and the Cardinals, and hopefully we can keep that up. So next time I check in, we'll be here on the 21st, and we can kind of review everything that happens in between. All right, y'all. Overall, pretty solid, although we are sort of falling apart here against the White Sox, bizarrely. So now we have now been swept by the White Sox and earlier in the season the Rockies, which is kind of bizarre. But we took these first two series, and taking 3 of 4 against Cincinnati on the road was really huge for us. But we've sort of been bitten by like nagging injuries as of late. Connor Griffin had a like bruised thigh, and we didn't put him on that injured list or anything. We just kind of have benched him for the last few days, which is probably why we lost that series against Chicago. But he'll be back in 2 days. Obviously, we really need him. Yoldin De La Paz has back stiffness. We're just letting him play through it because it doesn't impact his throwing. So hopefully it doesn't linger too long. And then this one, Finn McElroy had an oblique strain that will put him out for 5 more days. I think we're just going to try to manipulate the rotation in a way where, maybe somebody from the bullpen gets a spot start like Olivares or Santucci or something, and then we don't have to move him to the 15-day IL because I would rather not if we can. Or maybe we just like call up Thomas Harrington like the day Finn McElroy is next up in the rotation, something like that. We'll figure it out. But I wanted to use this as an opportunity to look at like some other injuries we've had in the org, some pretty major ones. So Nate Snead unfortunately has more shoulder inflammation that's going to put him out for 5 months. He was our best pitcher at AAA from a WAR perspective. Not the greatest, like still walking a ton of guys, and I just like don't know if he is ever going to factor for us, guys. It's like, he made it so far, and then the injuries of just like ever since the torn labrum back in 2026, he's had just a really tough go of it with constant nagging injuries, and at one point we viewed him very highly. I think like potentially 55 grade, 50 grade, and now he's down to just a 40. So kind of a sad break for him there. But he's not alone. We have Thomas White here, who's out 2 to 3 months with forearm inflammation. He had also been decent, not great, if I'm being honest, at AAA. And then Elian Pena has a torn hamstring. He's out for 5 weeks. As you can see, a positive WAR player, but not a positive hitter, really. Just kind of average all around. But, he'll be out for upwards of a month now. And also on here, out, like, we have a couple guys out, like, several months, but Joey Giles here, you may remember, as our 7th-round pick, the first baseman, who we still view highly as a 50-grade guy. He's never really made it out of A-ball, though, although this year it looked like it was finally his year through 44 games. He had a 133 WRC+, and he ruptures his MCL, so that'll be the year for him. Kind of a tough break on all our guys. And I never mentioned this earlier, but you remember when Wyatt Sanford was coming back from the hamstring injury? Well, look, guys, he's fragile now. Really unfortunate break for him. He's had, fractured rib, back soreness, bruised knee. Honestly, none of these injuries are all that major. It's just the hamstring strain and the fractured rib that are kind of, multi-week injuries, or the chronic back stiffness as well. Which I think we played him through, if I remember correctly. So maybe we did this to ourselves by playing him through that. I don't fully know. But you hate to see him turn fragile. I think we'll try to get him in the dev lab on a program to increase his strength and conditioning in the off season. But solid week of baseball. Apart from these three, we are still at the top of the division, 45 and 31, 3.5 up on St. Louis. Still several league leaders here, Lantigua in average, Connor Griffin in RBI, which is crazy. He's also up there in WAR. And Mike Burrows is having a really, I don't even want to acknowledge the season he's having, but he's really crushing it as our 4-starter, while guys like Jared Jones and Hunter Green are kind of struggling. So really love what he's doing. Obviously, you can see Jared Jones' ERA is now up into the 7s, which is definitely not ideal. Hopefully he can turn it around. But I meant to show our run differential here as well. So like best in the AL is the Yankees at plus 96, and we are plus 65 here, best in the NL. So we're not quite on their level. And you can look at, like, we lose a lot in extra innings, and we're still not so good on the road. But we've clawed back to average in our one-run games. So let's keep it moving. We're nearly through June. I'm going to finish out the month here. We've got 3 at home against Texas, and then back on the road against the Cubs, 2 in Atlanta to end the month. We may just complete that series just to, for my own OCD pleasure or whatever. We'll just go through the next 3. I'll regroup with you here at the 1st of July, and then, one more simulation of games, and then we'll be at the draft. So not too long, guys. And we're going to pull through to the end of June here, looking pretty good. We took every series, 2 against Texas, 2 against Chicago. We took the first in Atlanta, lost the second, but then came back to win the third here. Or I guess these were at home. But won every series that we just simulated, so that brings us to 51 and 34. Still good enough for tops in the division. We have a 3-game separation against St. Louis, and look how far Cincinnati has fallen, you guys. That's a crazy fall. They were just, I want to say 3.5 behind us at the start of the video. Now there's 13 games between us. You can kind of see all of our guys have sort of maintained position, like, kind of where they were when we just looked at this a few minutes ago. But Dan Beebe is crazy, you guys. He's 14-0. He has not lost a game yet this season, which is just like, I mean, this is a video game, but it's like video game numbers. Like 14-0 is crazy. Sub 3 ERA, sub 1 WHIP, 3.6 WAR. He's looking tremendous, and he was rewarded with best NL pitcher, best NL rookie. So we've now taken the rookie for 3 consecutive months, and BB has now 2 of 3 pitcher of the month awards. So he's been awesome. We have some other news to catch up on as well here. Sort of like important messages that we received at the midseason mark. Our owner is like largely happy with the team record and everything we're doing. We have some expiring personnel to revisit. Our manager, Malvin Brazaban, is on the final year of his deal, and I am inclined to bring him back because he's outstanding at development and he's excellent at aging. And he's got, pretty steady relationships with everyone. Like, there's not much to complain about here. So I think it's likely we look to bring him back. These other guys I'll have to take a closer look at. But the big news, we got a new prospect list. And our guy Ben Small is still number 10. Dan Beebe has since graduated. He's not here anymore. Ben Small still at 10, and he's been awesome in just A-ball. 68 games, OPSing 877, 2.2 WAR. Still, we grade at a 75, and you can look at his ratings down there. Just a 45 grade, but like everything is pretty well rounded. He's got 10 homer, 17 double, which is awesome. And we're like nearing the point of the season where I like to do my minor league like graduations where I shift everyone around. So I think it's likely he'll finish the year at high A because he looks like the same exact player for us. So getting the bump to high A, not even 20 years old yet, that's going to be awesome for him. Hopefully he can, produce well there. And he's still like quite a ways off from Eastern League, but maybe at some point next season he gets up to Double A. Who knows? But our system as a whole, we've graduated several guys, and we're now down to number 3. So still taking like a podium spot, but this is the lowest we've been in some time. You can see Danny Jimenez is still 23rd, still ranked very highly. Our catcher Javier Ruiz, who we just brought on, is now 40. And Jason Solis, our pitcher, has like slid a little bit down to 69. His numbers are not so nice on the year, although they are, I guess, close to league average. His ERA plus and FIP minus are just right on that kind of 100 line. His most recent start was not that good, and he's had some duds like lately, it looks like. But our second round pick from last draft is sort of, treating high A as a learning experience after, very strong year last season, 9 games at just plain A-ball. I guess it's like, maybe he just needs a change of scenery. You think he would play better with the 55 grade here, but we could, aggressively push him to Double A. I don't know if it's like a development issue here with our coaching or not, but other guys that we have in the, top of our, top system here, we have Malaguti and Sandoval still. Edward Florentino is outside the top 100, but 3 more guys inside the top 200. Jay Johnson, who we took in last year's draft, and Brian Hiles, another one of our very young pitchers. Alex Harrington is still kind of lurking down here along with Tyler August on the outside of the top 200, and Phil Goodall is here as well. Been really pleased with his numbers at the A-ball level this season. Our available money has slipped a bit. Our fan interest is down to 82. Again, we're still it's just deteriorating ever so slightly, like every couple of weeks. So we really don't have any money to pour into the draft as we look ahead. The next time I rejoin you, we'll be on draft day here on the 11th. I am going to make those minor league promotions, I think, in the next 3 days of game time, because I like to do it around the all-star break of A-ball and Double A. So I'll let the all-star games happen, and then I'll do the promotions here on the 4th. And then after I handle all of that, we'll rejoin on the draft, and we can kind of take a look at things. But one other thing, I guess, before we keep it moving here, I am looking at our team deficiencies. Obviously, our offense is awesome. Everything is top 2, apart from strikeouts. I don't think we need to add a bat at the trade deadline. I think where we could look to add is something in the pitching. And I don't know if that's a 5th starter to maybe bump McElroy out or something like that. I feel like our top 3 are pretty well established and we can't really move on from them. from just like a realism perspective. Like we're paying them a bunch of money and they're like big name guys. We have Burrows, who's been pitching well. I don't necessarily want to kick him out. McElroy we could kick out. Just something to maybe boost our starter ERA, or maybe something on the back end of the bullpen, like a real lockdown rental closer for the back half of the season could be good too. Something like that. I don't know. That's sort of where my head's at least right now. When we look at the actual arms on the trade block, there are quite a few interesting options. I already took a look a little bit. I think we have this, we still have it toggled to AA, but you can see Emmanuel Clase is here, but he has elbow inflammation, so probably don't want to touch that. He's also making $42 million, none of it retained, so definitely not into that. You have to keep in mind our budget is like pretty tight. There is Edwin Diaz here, who is also making a really big salary of 31.5, but he has 30% of it retained by Seattle. So if we could work something out where we ship prospects over and they retain the remaining, 65% of his salary or something like that, I could see us bringing him on. He's interestingly not their closer this year, although his like underlying stats are super, super strong. So I would feel confident bringing him in even at 35 just for this season. And there are other options here, like Brock Stewart as well is on a rental, and 75% of his deal is actually covered by the Padres. And he also looks a little more shaky, though. Like, he's getting the saves, but he's blowing them, so I don't know that he's actually a good option for us at all. I hadn't really looked at his numbers, so he's a negative WAR player. I don't really like it. But, like, as far as, like, starting pitchers are concerned, I know a lot of these guys are on, like, bigger deals here. So I don't know that it makes a ton of sense for us to acquire them. I mean, Luzardo would be awesome, but we just looked at it. He has 2 years remaining on his deal. And there's a bunch of 50-grade guys here who I'll just need to take a closer look at. I mean, maybe we get a Glasnow reunion in Pittsburgh. He's just on a very team-friendly deal there. He has not pitched yet this season. He may just be coming back from some sort of injury. Which is like classic for a wrecked player. But anyway, I don't want to dive too deep in this. Just know that I'm looking at pitching. So if you see a name here that you like, let me know. But I'm sort of thinking like back-end leverage, rental, maybe a fifth starter, something along those lines. But let's get to it. Like I mentioned, I'm going to do those minor league promotions. Next time you see me, we'll be at the draft and we'll be on the clock. So we've got 3 at home against St. Louis, and then we go on the road to Los Angeles and Kansas City. So let's wrap this up, guys. Here we go. And we officially are at the first-year player draft here in 2029. As you can see, we went kind of like, 4-4 in the games we just simulated. Not so good to be losing to St. Louis at home. That actually brought them pretty close to us in the standings. They're just 1.5 back now in the Central. So really wish we could have done better there. I accidentally messed up and let Finn McElroy get a start here. I think this game, I was like closely monitoring his injury and like it was still kind of lingering, and I let him pitch on it, and then he gave up 9 runs in like two-thirds of an inning. So like totally my bad on his stat line. I had been like sort of babysitting it, and then of course like the day after this game occurs, he like is symptom free. So it's just like a total like middle finger to the face like on my management of him. We're punished here, and then he immediately is healthy the following day. But we rescouted him, and look at this. He's developed a screwball, which is weird. So like he's actually made 1 start since this debacle, and it was actually a good like 60 game score where he only gave up 4 hits. So like pretty weird to develop a screwball. His scouting report, like it was all positive. He improved his control potential up to a 60, movement up to 50, and stuff up to 55. So he sees gains across every category. We don't see the movement necessarily reflected here just yet. So that means it's like in between 45 and 50. It's like a 48 or 49 or something like that. But positive scouting report, new pitch. I'm like, excited about Finn McElroy again after the debacle. But anyway, we're getting distracted. We're at the draft, and let's go ahead and dive in. I have not done any work on this yet. We are picking 29th. Our slot value is 4.1. If we go here, presumptive number 1 pick is Emilio Townsend. If we go to the mock draft, that is not reflected. He's projected to go 5th, and that switch hitting shortstop is projected to go 1st. So we're projected to take the second baseman, Ben Pierce, who's like a very contact forward, like decent glove second baseman. He doesn't have a great arm. I kind of wonder if he could play outfield. Sort of, but not really. I don't know that I love him. Great personality though. I like a little bit more power. I don't know. Is that too greedy? But let's see who goes here with the first couple of picks. At this point, we're not really tied to any of these player names. So I think we'll just go through like the first 2 or 3 and see who goes. But it looks like Houston is favoring Paul Dunn, the big power lefty outfielder who is fragile. He's definitely got a great swing, El Nino, from the left side, but he's likely a corner DH type. So let's see what they do here. They do take Paul Dunn. Washington looks to be eyeing Emilio Townsend, who we theorize is the best pitcher in the draft. And they do take him, which leaves Jerry McCoon, Battleship, the right fielder. That leaves him for the White Sox here, who they will presumably take as well, and they do. So now it looks like they actually have back-to-back picks. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. 2 top 5 picks. So who did they not sign last season? That's crazy. But we're not going to be on the clock for a while. Let's just go ahead and advance to our pick, and then we can kind of dive into the pool and see who's still available to us. Okay, so it looks like there are some good guys here, at least 1 or 2 70-grade guys according to our scout. I'm not going to really sort through this. Let's actually look for the names. So Stawicki went 8th. We know that name. Let's see if Johnson or any of our other guys here. So Lombard and Keon Johnson are still available, it looks like. So we could take Jacob Lombard, although like he has deteriorated in the eyes of our scout. So, best player according to Pipeline is Tony Granger, a college right-handed pitcher out of Rutgers. And I actually know this player. I've looked at him during the combine, and I actually do like him quite a bit. Relatively high floor, starting point perspective, seems like he has decent movement. The control is just going to be average, but he's got good stamina. And the 5-pitch mix, pretty good mix. Fastball's got, a slider, 2 off speeds, a sinker, great competition level, and he's very cheap, 1.4. I think he could come in right away, pitch at A-ball, move through our system relatively quickly, and make it up to the majors ASAP. And OSA views him as freaking 80 grade, dude. That's crazy. So it's gonna be hard to honestly pass on him. We could save so much money, and I don't think he's gonna make it back around to us, because he's I'm pretty sure projected to go in the mock fairly early. If we look for Tony Granger, let's see. Well, yeah, pretty early in the second round. I wouldn't want to chance it. If we decide we like him, I think we should take him here. Other guys here, there's Aaron Patterson, who's a 45 grade. I'm not even going to bother to look at. But this guy, Joaquin Cruseda, we have him as our number 2 prospect, it looks like, on our personal draft board, and he's our number 2 scout recommendation. And he's viewed as number 13 by Pipeline. So let's take a look and see what we have here. Buttermilk Tommy, are you kidding? The Dominican pitcher named Buttermilk Tommy has committed to Oral Roberts. 2.6 mil bonus demand, so pretty affordable. It looks like he has really good movement. The control has reliever risk, if I'm being honest. That's my one thing I've keyed in on. Him being so far away at just 18, there's no guarantee that control comes along. Although there's a big discrepancy in what OSA sees versus what, our scout sees. We think he could have 380 grade pitches. That's obviously really, really strong. I don't like he's too far away to be started at A ball. Yeah, you wouldn't want to run that out there. He would need time in the rookie league, like likely several years as well. I do like him, but I don't know that I love him more than the college pitcher, if I'm being honest. I feel like the college pitcher is a little more safer because the control is more, far along. If we just go back to Tony Granger, like all of this is just so much more guaranteed. And while he doesn't have 380 grade pitches, he has mostly 65 grade pitches, which are very very good. And he's they're both similar, like good personalities. Granger has more high leader, I think. Crusada only had IQ, yeah, so that's a little bit of a differentiator. And both similar stamina and good at holding runners. But let's go to the full sortable list. I kind of like favor the draft pool list a little more. Make sure we don't have any weird filters on. So these are the best players available. If we go back to pitching, I'm just like, I have pitching on the mind at the moment. So Tony Granger's here. Let's only look at these 65 grades. They're all closers. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's really only two other starters who we haven't looked at. There's Prince Bunton, Big B. At least it aligns with his last name, although he's only 6'2", 190. You project really good velocity, like touching 100, upper 90s, but the personality is really not good. I don't like taking high schoolers with low work ethic and low IQ. And yeah, like, come on, 35 stamina, this like screams reliever, even though like he would be a really good reliever if he's throwing like close to 100. He wants $6 million. I don't know that I love this for us, you guys. He just seems a little bit too risky for me. I kind of want to draft a pitcher, I think, just because when I think about our system, we've kind of whiffed on a lot of our pitchers. Really only Dan Beebe and I guess now Finn McElroy have factored. And when I'm thinking like 2 to 3 years down the road, I would like to have somebody new come up, and I don't know that we have that guy in our system currently. It seems like maybe Solis can get there, but you never know. We've had guys like Nate Snead flame out, and Tyler August is just kind of fringy as well. So I'm kind of leaning pitcher. I see this guy, Scott McCabe, and I notice he's fragile immediately. The Brazilian, almost 18-year-old, again, just looks kind of like risky and far away, where it's like I would just rather take the other college guy. So I think pitching, my favorite would be Tony Granger so far. Let's see who's demanding the most money here. Okay, so it is Big B at the top. There's a guy, Robbie Williams. I mean, there are a couple guys here. Robbie Williams is a 17-year-old righty. Good stamina. Marginal control, and his pitches are really far away. I just don't love it, you guys. I mean, I'm sure he's valued higher by OSA. He is, but don't love it. Scott Guile looks a little bit better, although the control is just at a 20. Like, 20 is such a low starting point. You would love to see it at least like 25. The movement is not, anything super special. It's likely that would regress, so I actually do kind of like Buttermilk Tommy as my favorite, like, high upside high schooler. Now that I've reviewed the other guys available, like, he starts out at 25, you can see, and you think the Homer and Homer in the Loud will be really good with all the plus pitches. So I think we're sort of down to, either Joaquin Crusada or Tony Granger on the pitching front. That would be my two leanings. Granger comes in at a 35 already, like one of the top guys. I'll take a look at this guy because I'm sure you're curious. He's a sidearm righty with 35 stamina, so you could say like, oh, there is a world where he could maybe be stretched to a starter, but he only has 2 pitches, so you would have to like dev lab a third pitch and then dev lab stamina as well. And as a side armor, even though he's throwing 100, I don't know that I love it. So he's just kind of weird. I don't think he's like under consideration here, like at all. I would not take a reliever in the first round. But let's look at batters. There are only a couple 65 grade guys, and it looks like they are all high schoolers. If we want college bats, they are, down here in the 60 grades. But I'm fine taking a high schooler. I wouldn't mind it. Let's kind of just go through and get like first impressions. So contact first baseman, Joel Bond is probably just a no from me. I like more power out of my corner infield. Danny Burleson is just called Ryan. His nickname is just Ryan, which is funny. He's got good work ethic, but low IQ. I mean, he's got good power, but he can't play defense necessarily. He's the guy I think maybe profiles as a third baseman, right? But he doesn't really have great skill playing the position. He could play corner outfield, but I don't know that I love him. I'm not like in love with him, I suppose. Chris Kluber is impossible to sign, but let's just look at him regardless. A very contact forward player. Looks like he has no interest in coming to Pittsburgh, so we'll move on. Another first baseman, a Canadian, which means this guy will be risky. Trey McConnell. I mean, he's got a great personality, and he wants $7 million, and he's durable. All positive, like green flags. Like he's within our budget, has a good personality, looks like a capable player. He's never going to bring like plus power, but he's going to get on base. The only thing is the poor competition level makes you question if any of this is real. And it doesn't look like he's super effective left on the left. So a little risky. Don't know that I love it. Russ Meschik. Looks like a second baseman. Like seems good, decent, good gap power. He's got that like Nick Gonzalez profile going on. 1.4 mil, so like a very similar signing bonus to the pitchers we looked at. Looks good against both sides. I don't know that I'm like super in love. I don't know that I super love it. This is actually, I think Adam Rogers is the number one recommendation of our scout. Yeah. He's a left fielder. He's 18 and he's durable, low work ethic and low leader, but the right-handed bat who can't play defense. Oh gosh. We just like him because he's a durable power and eye guy, but he's really just a DH long term. Maybe he could play infield, but probably not. You probably just stash him in a corner. I don't know that I love this, you guys. Even though he is committed to Tennessee. It's kind of, I mean, he's a fly ball hitter, which like aligns with his power. I mean, that's like, a good combination there. So he's likely to hit a lot of home runs. I just don't know that I like taking such a bad defender here in the first round. And then there are two more 65 grade guys, both center fielders who we've loaded up on center field in recent drafts. This is like a very contact first, gap power kind of guy, but it looks like he can play defense. And then David Stiltner is a switch hitter, not even 18. He honestly looks pretty good. Well-rounded profile, like nothing's going to be super standout. Low leader, only $5.5 million, committed to Vanderbilt. So that's a good sign. He's more effective against right-handed pitching, which is, I guess, pretty good. Better batting left. And then did I see? No, he has no infield versatility. So I kind of actually like David Stiltner. I always go for these outfielders. I'm always like so gravitated to taking an outfielder. If we go to just like shortstops, who are the best available? So we've looked at those two. Let's look at these guys. Chase Gonzalez, wow, big strikeout risk. But good eye, good power. Pretty far along out of Arkansas, great competition level. Wayne Miller has great speed, not the best defensively, but he's a really good bunter. He's really good at sack bunting. I mean, he looks solid, but I don't know that I love him here in the first round. Jason Robbins actually looks somewhat decent. 5.5 mil signing bonus. Line drive hitter. Everything's decently far along, like good arm, but he's probably more of a third baseman, it looks like. But bats righty. And then Mario Rodriguez, no power again, kind of tough there. And Chris Slabaugh. I mean, he actually looks pretty good. Good utility. High dev risk, though. I mean, he doesn't look that good, actually. I'm backtracking. So I think those are like kind of the options, you guys. I don't want to dip down too far into the 60s on camera here. I'll take a look, myself and kind of review what I think is the best option for us. But if I had to, draft somebody right now, on the spot, I'm likely taking Tony Granger just because he looks so safe, which would be like a huge underslot for us. And I guess you could think about it like this: if we, underslot the majority of our draft, that opens up more flexibility at the trade deadline to take on like a higher contract pitcher or something like that. So maybe that's worth considering as like part of this, as like sort of a package strategy. But I really like him. And then I guess if we wanted to be a little more risky, we could also go with Buttermilk Tommy. But we're going to wrap the video here, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to, stick through all of these long videos. I really appreciate it, but I'm having fun making them, and I hope you're enjoying watching them as well. So I would appreciate any likes or comments you wanted to put on the video, or feel free to subscribe to, see these every day. Guarantee you see them in your feed. But I'll be back with a new episode for you soon after we kind of, review that feedback. Make sure to get that in ASAP, and then I'll look to handle the draft in the next episode, and then we'll work through the trade deadline as well, so it should be a fun one to look forward to. But take it easy, guys. I'll catch you with a new video soon.